Yeah, it sounds like a haunted house. The creaking and moaning. I mean, it sounds like a 1970s model truck. You can probably see where I've lubricated this thing with grease. When I got this truck last year, I put lithium grease on here, white lithium grease. That didn't help. I tried some other kind of lubricant. That didn't help. I put WD-40 on it. That didn't help. Finally, I got tired of it, and I put actual wheel bearing grease on here. I thought that'll lubricate it. Well, it doesn't help. Lubrication is apparently not the problem. These things have to actually be changed out for new ones in order to get rid of the noise. The driver's side door does the same thing. Very annoying. So let's try to fix that. All right, so I have never taken the door panels off of one of these newer aluminum Ford trucks before. I've taken plenty of door panels off of plenty of vehicles over the years, but I've never done one of these newer Ford trucks. So it looks like, I've seen, as far as the way the bottom of the door panels fasten, I've seen it two different ways. Some have sheet metal screws that actually screw into the framework of the door, and some just have like little plastic feet or hooks, if you want to call it that, molded into the door panel, and they just kind of slide down into a slot. These actually have screws on them. So you're going to need a 7mm, looks like, to take these two screws out of the bottom, and that should free up the bottom of the door panel so that it can unsnap from the door frame. Up here at the top, you've got this trim panel here that just snaps off, and it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 snap clips. So you need some of these plastic trim tools so that you can take these pieces off without tearing them up. So that one just unsnaps. Go slow, try to come straight out with it so that you don't break anything. And while I'm talking about that, if you look at the back of this, you'll see, I don't know if it's close enough, but you'll see there's some white clips that go on there. And then these two up here have metal clips. So when you take this off, look and make sure that all 4 of your clips are still there, because obviously you need all 4 clips for it to go back on properly. So that will expose this. And then as far as this middle part here, this trim panel right here that covers up your release handle, it just snaps off also. If you look, if you look up under it, there's a little tab right there. So I just took the tooth of my trim tool, put it up in that tab, and then I'm going to try and take that one out. This one is fighting me a little bit more. So like I said, just kind of go slow with it so that hopefully it won't break anything. I hate taking stuff like this apart for that very reason, because sometimes these clips will fall off, sometimes stuff will break. Thankfully nothing broke, I just had a clip fall off. So if it doesn't break the tab, if that doesn't break, then obviously you can just take your clip and put it back on. So this piece has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 clips on it. And it looks like there's a little provision here. So now that I see this, now I know that that is supposed to go in first, and then it snaps on. So when I put this back together, I will remember that. I will put this in there like that, and then fold it in and snap it on. It's good to know how that works without breaking anything. Lots of times you'll end up accidentally breaking something trying to figure out how it's designed the first time you take it apart, which is the reason why I hate taking stuff like this apart. But I can't stand that noise anymore, so I got to fix it. All right, so now that we're into where our screws are, we can access our screws. Looks like we've got one here, got one here, got one up here in the corner, top corner. And these appear that they're all going to be 7mm, and then of course you got the 2 down there. So the electric ratchet, best 60 bucks I ever spent. just going to take these out and I'm going to lay them right here in the door panel, tray, so that I do not lose them. Get up under here and get these. Interesting. Something that I just noticed. So these two screws that I just took out of the bottom of that door panel, the threads on them are a little different. So I don't know if that means that somebody has had this off in the past and they lost a screw, so they just found a screw similar and put it back in there. Or did it come from the factory with two different threads? I don't know. We'll find out when we get to the other side and see how it is. But for now, I'm going to remember which screw came out of which hole so that I can put them in the same one. So I'll put this one in this pocket back here, and I'll put this one in this pocket up here so that I can keep them straight. All right, so with that being said, we should be about ready to try to give this thing a yank and get it off here. So this is another part that's nerve-wracking, but I'm going to try and put my knee up here. There we go. Again, you've got a lot of plastic snap clips on this stuff. And I hate them. I just really hate them. Because especially as the years go on and these trucks get older, this stuff gets heat soaked and then it cools off, heat soaked and then it cools off, and the plastic gets brittle. So eventually it gets to the point where the next time you take this off, stuff's going to start breaking and you're going to have to start trying to find parts. Such a pain. But anyhow, something seems to be holding me here in the middle. The issue that I'm having at the moment is that something in the center here is holding it, it seems like. Because you have to get the whole thing to unsnap so that you can lift it up off of your door lock plunger, and it's kind of laying down into the top channel here. So you got to get that to slide up so that you can take the door panel off. I discovered the issue. So there's a third little panel in here right there that covers up two more 7mm screws. Here's what that little cover looks like. And you can see the little snap clips on it. So 1, 2, 3 different covers that you take off. And then those two, you could feel that something in the center was holding it still. So I'm going to take those two 7s out. And then we'll be able to get behind the door panel after we slide it up off of there and deal with the wiring harnesses. Now it looks like these screws are also unique. So I'm going to set them over here in a different location, try to keep all this stuff separated. So that they can go back in the correct locations when I'm done. So those two are out. Ah, now that's better. That's better. All right, so now I'm gonna pull this out. There we go. There we go. Easy peasy. Now, once you get back here, I'll show you this on the camera in just a moment. You've got some harness connections that you obviously have to deal with. So, one of them is for the door lock switch here. And the other one's for the power window. All right, so the other part that's still connected here is a cable that goes over to your lock. That's probably strong enough that you don't have to disconnect that. It'll support the door panel long enough to do this job. So now we can get in here and get to what we need to get to. And I'm going to bring the camera over so that you can get a better idea of why we had to take the door panel off in the first place. All right, here's a closer up view of the cable. It goes down to your door handle latch. It actually operates the latch, and then you've got the plunger there for the door lock too. But anyway, since that's a cable, like I said, that should hold. Here's your two connections over here for the power window and the power door lock buttons. So those are the two you disconnect. This one here, it just kind of came right out. I don't even see any way to, I guess you squeeze it, but it came out really easily. This one fought me a little bit until I noticed this tab right here. So be careful with those and get them out very easily. So the reason we have to take the door panel off to begin with is because you can see how the bolts for the, what they call the check stops, the door check stops. You can see the two inside there. You can see that one there. But you can't take this out without going through the inside of the door, unfortunately. So that's the whole idea here of having to take the door panel off. Those look like 7 mils. I can zip those out real quick and remove the door speaker. All right, yeah, so obviously if you were ever planning on replacing your door speakers, this would be a perfect time to do that. But anyway, you can see there's plenty of room now to get in there to this thing. So yeah, I don't know what I was thinking of even touching that grommet down here. The speaker's the way to do it. So now you're going to switch over to a 10 millimeter and take these 3 bolts out, snake that thing out through here, and then reverse. Now, when you go to slide the old one out, you're going to have to reach in there and kind of twist it around. It's a little bit of a puzzle. It'll come out, but you got to kind of move it around and play with it a little bit because it's like a, see how the hole is shaped kind of like a rectangle? So you just kind of have to mess around with it a little bit because this joint up here doesn't really want to fit through that rectangle very well. So like I said, just play around with it until you figure out which way it wants to come out. But here's the old one versus the new one. The part numbers are exactly the same for left and right. Here's the part number. So let's swap that back out and we'll be done. Now I've spent more time yapping and making a YouTube video than I've spent actually doing this. So real time, you're looking at probably 5 to 10 minutes per door to do this, as long as you got the right tools. So I don't really know what it is about these that wears out and makes that awful noise, but like I said, you just kind of have to do it because lubricating them doesn't seem to fix them. And it looks like you're going to have to play around with this thing some to get the new one to go in too. I don't know why they didn't make that hole just a little bit bigger from the factory, and these things would come in and out very easily. So you're probably going to spend majority of your time figuring out which direction to insert this thing in the hole to get it to go on through there so that you can bolt it up. Man, that's kind of annoying. Let me try something here. It wouldn't be a problem at all, except the slide for the window, the glass, is right here in your way. I mean, if you could actually have more room to finagle this thing, it would go in easy. But since the window track is right there, no, it won't let it happen. All right, I finally got that through the slot. I gave it a little bit of force and popped it on through there. That's the most annoying part by far. So once you get that in there, what I did was I tightened up the 2 on the door side first. Not all the way, but pretty snug. And then put the one in on the A-pillar, tighten it all the way down, and then come back and tighten up the ones on the door side. There's actually a procedure out there, if you can search the internet and find it, that Ford put out about what order you're supposed to tighten those, you know. But all right, so I got everything buttoned back up, snapped this back into place, snapped that back into place, and now listen, the door is quiet. No haunted house noises now. Awesome. So I'll do the other side real quick. Takes about 10 minutes maybe. I'm not going to shoot any more video because I've bored you to death enough, but I just kind of wanted to show you what you got to do to get rid of the noise. You just got to buy these things. They were $15. I got both of them for 30 bucks delivered from a online Ford dealer. So it's well worth it to get rid of the noise and make your truck actually sound like a relatively new truck. So it turns out that was actually a pretty simple job. By the way, when I got to the other door panel over there on the driver's side, I noticed that those two screws at the bottom were the same over there. So there's a little black screw that goes in here behind that panel, and then you got two little black screws down here. Well, these have a coarse thread and that one has a finer thread on it. So somebody in the past has had this door panel off before and they mixed up two of those screws. Not a big deal, but I put them back where they're supposed to be. Anyhow, both doors are really quiet now. That was definitely the fix. That's what you got to do. Hopefully this helps somebody, and it's pretty simple. So like I said, if you're not shooting video and yakking like I'm doing right now, you can do this in like 10 minutes per door. No sweat. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll talk to you later.